In June 1914, a single political assassination in Sarajevo set off a chain reaction that mobilized the world's most powerful empires. The target was Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. The immediate aftermath was chaotic, as local authorities violently apprehended the conspirators in the streets. But this localized event was tethered to a much larger mechanism. European powers had constructed a complex web of military treaties, ensuring a Balkan conflict would draw in every neighboring empire. Once activated, the momentum was unstoppable. Mobilize orders and war declarations spread across the continent like falling dominoes. When international systems fail and the state mandates mass violence, the individual is forced to make a choice. If your country commands you to kill, do you obey, or do you find a way to stop the machine? In Roger Martin du Gard's novel, Les Thibault, that choice splits a single French family. Two brothers, Antoine and Jacques, find themselves on opposite sides of the coming conflict. Antoine is a doctor and a realist. While he doesn't desire war, he views the mobilization as a necessary defensive duty. To him, the conflict is a grim reality that must be managed through practical service. His brother, Jacques, rejects that pragmatism. An idealistic socialist, he views the entire war as a crime designed by capitalist governments to exploit the lives of the working class for profit. While Antoine accepts his role within the state, Jacques commits to a standard of absolute pacifism. He believes that answering violence with more violence is a moral failure, regardless of the cause. Throughout the July crisis, the momentum of war builds in the streets. Massive armies begin aggressive mobilization, and the sound of marching soldiers becomes a constant fixture in European capitals. Antoine quietly prepares to fulfill his medical assignment. He views his participation as an inevitable part of his patriotic duty to patch up the soldiers the war will inevitably produce. Jacques, however, spends these weeks in a desperate state of motion. He travels between Geneva and Paris, working with an international network of socialists to find a way to sabotage the mobilization. His strategy is a massive general strike. If the workers of every nation refuse to operate the trains, factories, and supply lines, the entire military logistics of Europe will freeze. As the declarations of war are signed, the pressure forces both brothers to move their theories into the physical world, and the time for debate has ended. But as the first battles loom, Jacques' political network begins to fracture. The same socialist peers he spent weeks organizing buckle under the heavy weight of national pride. His allies start to justify the conflict, arguing that a defensive war is acceptable, or they argue that a violent revolution might be necessary to overthrow the very regimes they are fighting. Jacques refuses to compromise. He rejects the idea of a just war entirely. He argues that the moment you use violence to defeat evil, you become the very thing you are trying to destroy. This refusal isolates him. By sticking to his absolute moral code, Jacques loses the support of his political movement and drifts further away from his family. He is left to face the war alone. When his peers in Geneva finally fold, Jacques breaks. He abandons the failing political meetings and decides if he cannot stop the war through a strike, he will stop it through a final personal sacrifice. He secures a small monoplane and flies solo toward the front, a lone pilot crossing over the French and German lines into the conflict. He flies over the trenches to drop thousands of leaflets, pleading with the soldiers on both sides to lay down their arms. It is a direct appeal to the individuals in the mud to simply refuse to fight. The intervention is short-lived. His fragile plane crashes violently into the no-man's land between the two opposing armies. Jacques survives the impact, only to be captured. In a world now entirely governed by military logic, his plea for peace is ignored. He is summarily executed as a spy. Jacques' solitary death stands in stark contrast to the millions of anonymous casualties that follow. The mechanized war he tried to stop grinds over him. While Jacques dies for his refusal to participate, Antoine survives by working within the system, a doctor patching up a world he accepted as broken. The story of Jacques Thibault suggests a haunting reality. In a society that has fully committed itself to war, absolute pacifism is not just an ideal, it is a fatal burden.